Elena Martinez stared at her reflection in the cracked Victorian mirror, her hands trembling as she reached for the antique makeup kit. The faded label read, "Lilith's Last Performance, Halloween 1952. She had found it buried in her grandmother's attic, untouched for 70 years. As she opened the tarnished lid, a sweet, nauseating smell filled the room, like roses mixed with something rotten. Her boyfriend Marcus had laughed when she told him about the strange dreams she'd been having since finding the kit. Dreams of a woman in a blood-red dress, whispering words Elena couldn't understand. Dreams that felt more like memories. Tonight was Halloween, and Elena had promised to wear the most terrifying makeup at the college party. She dipped the brush into the cracked foundation, not noticing how the mirror's reflection smiled before she did. Not noticing how her own eyes had started to change color. By the time she realized something was wrong, it was already too late. Lilith had been waiting 70 years for a new face, and Elena had just given her one. If you enjoy dark mysteries and chilling stories, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me what topic you'd like me to cover next. Your support keeps these stories coming. The attic smelled like forgotten memories and mothballs. Elena Martinez pushed aside a stack of yellowed newspapers from 1952, her fingers leaving trails in the thick dust. Her grandmother had passed away 3 months ago, leaving behind a house full of secrets and a granddaughter who couldn't stop searching through them. "You're obsessed," Marcus had told her last week, his voice carrying that edge of concern mixed with frustration. "She's gone, Elena. Let her rest." But Elena couldn't. Not when every corner of this house whispered stories she'd never heard. Not when her grandmother had spent her final days muttering about mistakes and warnings Elena was too late to understand. The wooden chest sat in the corner, half hidden behind a broken dress form. Unlike everything else, it wasn't covered in dust. Someone had opened it recently. Elena's heart quickened as she knelt beside it, her hands hovering over the brass latch. The metal was warm, impossibly warm. Inside, nestled in faded red velvet, was the makeup kit. The compact was silver, tarnished black around the edges, with Art Deco patterns that seemed to shift in the dim light. The label, handwritten in elegant script, made her breath catch. Lilith's Last Performance, Halloween 1952. Elena lifted the compact carefully. It was heavier than it should be, dense with something more than just old cosmetics. The mirror inside was cracked in a starburst pattern, but her reflection looked perfect. Too perfect. Her skin appeared flawless, her eyes brighter, her lips fuller. She blinked, and for just a moment, she could have sworn her reflection blinked a second later. "Stop it," she whispered to herself. "You're being ridiculous." But her hands were shaking as she set the compact down and explored the rest of the kit. Lipstick in a shade of red so deep it looked like dried blood. Foundation that felt like silk despite being 70 years old. Eyeshadow in shades of midnight and storm. And beneath it all, a small card with a single sentence written in that same elegant hand. "Beauty is eternal. The price is fair." Elena should have closed the chest, should have left the attic, should have listened to the cold dread settling in her stomach like a stone. Instead, she slipped the compact into her jacket pocket and carried the kit downstairs to her temporary bedroom. That night, the dream started. She stood in a theater, red velvet curtains framing a stage lit by footlights. A woman in a blood-red dress moved through the spotlight, her face obscured by shadow. The audience sat frozen, their faces pale and empty. The woman turned and Elena saw her eyes, green and luminous, filled with hunger that had nothing to do with food. "You found me," the woman said, her voice like honey poured over broken glass. "After all this time, someone finally found me." Elena tried to speak, but her voice wouldn't come. The woman walked closer, each step echoing in the silent theater. "Your grandmother tried to keep me locked away. She knew what I was, what I could do. But you..." The woman smiled, revealing teeth too white, too sharp. "You're different. You're lonely. You want to be seen, to be remembered. I can give you that, Elena. I can make you unforgettable." Elena woke up gasping, her sheets soaked with sweat. The compact sat on her nightstand, and she could have sworn it was glowing faintly in the darkness. She grabbed her phone. 3 a.m. 7 missed calls from Marcus. She called him back, her voice shaking. "I had the weirdest dream." "Again?" Marcus sighed. "Elena, maybe you should see someone. These dreams, this obsession with your grandmother's stuff, it's not helpful." "They feel so real," she whispered, staring at the compact. "Like memories that aren't mine." "That's exactly what I mean. Look, the Halloween party is tomorrow night. Come with me, have some fun. Forget about all this creepy attic stuff for one night. Can you do that?" Elena touched the compact. It was warm again. "Yeah," she heard herself say. "I'll come. I'll even do something special with my makeup." Marcus laughed, relieved. "That's my girl. See you tomorrow night." After he hung up, Elena opened the compact again. Her reflection smiled before she did. Detective Raymond Cole sat in his car outside Elena's grandmother's house, a thermos of cold coffee in one hand and a file folder in the other. He'd been tracking this case for 15 years, ever since his sister disappeared on Halloween night, her apartment empty except for an antique makeup compact sitting open on her dresser. The file contained newspaper clippings dating back to 1952. The headline on top read, "Local actress found dead on Halloween. Lilith Crane's mysterious death baffles police." But it was the articles that came after that had consumed Cole's life. Every decade, like clockwork, a young woman disappeared on Halloween, and every single one had been seen with vintage makeup in the days before. Makeup that witnesses described as too perfect and almost alive. Cole's investigation had led him here, to the house of Margaret Martinez, who'd been a stagehand at the theater where Lilith Crane died. Margaret had kept something hidden for 70 years, something her granddaughter had now found. He'd tried to warn the girl. 2 weeks ago, he'd knocked on the door, showed his badge, asked to search the attic. But Elena had been suspicious, protective of her grandmother's legacy. She'd sent him away, threatened to file a complaint. Now, watching the lights in the upstairs bedroom, Cole saw something that made his blood run cold. A figure stood at the window. Elena, but not Elena. Her posture was different, more confident, almost predatory. And when she turned to look directly at his car, her eyes caught the streetlight and flashed green. Cole grabbed his phone and dialed his partner. "She's found it. The Martinez girl has found the kit." "You sure? I'm looking at her right now, and that's not her looking back." Cole started his car. "Halloween is tomorrow night. If we don't stop this, Elena Martinez is going to disappear just like the others, just like my sister." He drove away, missing the moment when Elena's reflection in the window smiled and waved goodbye, even though Elena herself stood perfectly still. Halloween night arrived with a blood-orange sunset that painted Elena's bedroom in shades of fire. She sat at her grandmother's vanity, the antique makeup kit spread before her like surgical instruments. Marcus would arrive in an hour. The party started at 9. She had time. The compact felt warm in her hands, almost alive. Elena opened it, and the cracked mirror reflected her face. Plain, unremarkable Elena with her nervous smile and tired eyes. Eyes that had cried too much since her grandmother died. A face that Marcus barely looked at anymore, always distracted by his phone, his friends, his life that seemed to be moving forward while she stayed trapped in this house of memories. "Just for tonight," she whispered, "just to feel special." The foundation glided onto her skin like liquid moonlight. Cool at first, then warming, then hot, almost burning. Elena gasped but didn't stop. Her skin drank in the makeup, absorbing it until her complexion glowed with an otherworldly perfection. Every pore vanished, every imperfection smoothed away. She reached for the eyeshadow, her hands moving with a confidence that wasn't entirely hers. Midnight blue swept across her lids, followed by silver that sparkled like stars. Her eyes looked larger, more luminous. The green of her irises deepened to emerald. "That's better," a voice said. Elena froze. She was alone in the room. She was certain she was alone, but the voice had been clear, feminine, right behind her ear like a whisper from a lover. "Who's there?" Her voice cracked. The reflection in the mirror smiled. "You know who I am, Elena. You've known since the moment you found me." Elena's hand moved on its own, reaching for the blood-red lipstick. She tried to stop, tried to pull back, but her fingers had stopped obeying her. The lipstick traced her lips with perfect precision, and when it was done, the woman staring back at her from the mirror wasn't Elena anymore. She was stunning, terrifying, hungry. "Hello, darling," Lilith said through Elena's mouth. "It's good to be alive again." Elena screamed inside her own head, but no sound came out. Her body stood, moved to the full-length mirror, turned slowly. Lilith was admiring her new vessel, running Elena's hands down the curves of her body, tilting her head to catch the light. "You poor thing." Lilith's voice was sympathetic, almost kind. "So desperate to be noticed. So tired of being invisible. I felt it the moment you touched my compact. That aching loneliness, that hunger to matter. We're not so different, you and I." "Let me go," Elena thought desperately. "Please let me go." "Oh, I will. Eventually." Lilith laughed, and it sounded like wind chimes mixed with screaming. "Once I've had my fill. You see, beauty like mine requires sustenance, life force, youth, the souls of the envious and the vain. Halloween night is when the veil is thinnest, when I can feed properly. And that party you're going to? All those young, beautiful people desperate for attention." She licked Elena's lips with Elena's tongue. "It's going to be a feast." No, I won't let you. You don't have a choice, sweet girl. The moment you opened that compact, you invited me in. The moment you applied my makeup, you gave me permission. That's how curses work. They need consent, even unwilling consent." Memories flooded Elena's mind, not hers, but Lilith's. A theater in 1952, packed with producers and critics. Lilith Crane, a struggling actress, beautiful but unknown, making a deal with something ancient in the basement dressing room. Power for a price, beauty for a soul, fame for eternity. But fame never came. Instead, a jealous rival, another actress named Margaret, had discovered what Lilith had become. Margaret, who'd been so plain, so forgettable, so envious of Lilith's supernatural allure. Margaret had poisoned Lilith's opening night champagne, killed her before she could perform, trapped her essence in the makeup she'd been wearing. "Your grandmother," Elena realized, the pieces falling into place. "Yes." Lilith's anger burned through their shared body. "Margaret Martinez. She murdered me and condemned me to decades in darkness. But she made one mistake. She kept my compact. And now, her granddaughter has set me free." The doorbell rang. "Marcus." Elena felt her body move toward the stairs, each step graceful and predatory. She was screaming inside, throwing herself against the walls of her own consciousness, but Lilith's control was absolute. The makeup had bonded them, merged them, and Lilith's will was stronger. "Showtime," Lilith whispered. Elena opened the door. Marcus stood on the porch in his vampire costume, fake fangs and all, holding a bouquet of drugstore flowers. His eyes widened when he saw her. "Elena? Wow, you look incredible, different." "Do I?" Her voice came out sultry, confident, nothing like her usual nervous tone. "Is different good?" Marcus swallowed hard, his gaze traveling over her face. "Yeah, really good." "What did you do?" "Just a little vintage makeup." She took the flowers, let her fingers brush his. "From my grandmother's collection." Something flickered in Marcus's eyes. Unease, maybe, or recognition that something was wrong. But it was quickly swallowed by attraction. That's what Lilith did, Elena realized. She didn't just look beautiful. She radiated desire, made everyone around her want her, need her, obsess over her. "We should go," Marcus said, but he didn't move. He couldn't stop staring at her. In a moment, Lilith stepped closer, and Elena felt her own hand reach up to touch Marcus's face. Tell me something first. Do you love her? The real Elena? What? Of course I do. Liar. The word was soft, almost gentle. You tolerate her. You stay with her because she's safe, convenient, devoted. But you don't see her. You never really have. Marcus stepped back, anger replacing desire. That's not true. Elena, what's gotten into you? Deep inside, Elena wept. Because Lilith was right. She'd known it for months but hadn't wanted to admit it. Marcus didn't love her. He'd been looking for an exit, a reason to leave. Nothing's gotten into me, Lilith said, smiling with Elena's lips. I'm just finally being honest. Now shall we go to this party? I'm absolutely starving. She walked past Marcus toward his car, leaving him standing on the porch, confused and uneasy. Above them, in the darkened window, Detective Cole watched through binoculars, his phone already dialing for backup. The real horror of Halloween night was just beginning. The party was in full swing when they arrived. College students in elaborate costumes filled the old Victorian house, music pounding through walls that had probably seen their share of Halloween nights, but none quite like this one. Lilith moved through the crowd with Elena's body, drawing every eye, commanding every conversation. People gravitated toward her like moths to flame, unaware they were being marked, selected, drained. With each compliment about her makeup, each envious glance, Lilith grew stronger. Elena felt herself fading, her consciousness slipping further into darkness with every passing moment. Marcus stayed close, protective but confused. Something was wrong. He knew it in his gut, even if his eyes couldn't stop following her. That's when Detective Cole burst through the door, 3 officers behind him. But they were too late. Lilith had already chosen her victims, 5 people, including Marcus, all wearing makeup that Lilith had touched, transferring her curse with a brush of her fingers, a whisper of admiration. The lights went out. Screaming filled the darkness. When they came back on, Elena stood in the center of the room, the makeup running down her face like tears of blood. Around her, 5 bodies lay unconscious, their life force drained, their faces aged decades in seconds. But Elena was there. Really there. Fighting back with everything she had. "Grandmother," she whispered, understanding finally flooding through her. "You didn't keep the compact to preserve her. You kept it to protect everyone else. You carried that burden for 70 years. With trembling hands covered in Lilith's makeup, Elena grabbed the compact from her purse and smashed it against the floor. The mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces, and Lilith's scream tore through the room, a sound of pure rage and ancient hunger, finally silenced. Elena collapsed. The makeup turned to ash on her skin, and in the broken shards of the mirror, Lilith's face appeared one last time, trapped now in fragments, divided and powerless. Marcus survived, as did the others, though they would carry the marks of that night forever. Gray streaks in their hair, shadows under their eyes that would never quite fade. Physical reminders that beauty always has a price, and some bargains should never be made. Elena spent 3 weeks in the hospital, recovering not from physical wounds but from the psychological trauma of having her body stolen, her will overridden. Detective Cole visited her often, bringing case files that he finally closed, his sister's disappearance explained at last. "She kept me trapped," Elena told him one afternoon, staring out the window at fall leaves turning brown. "But she also showed me something. Showed me how desperate I was to be seen, to matter. How I was willing to lose myself just to be noticed." "That's not weakness," Cole said quietly. "That's being human." Lilith preyed on that. On our need for connection, for validation, for love. Elena touched her face, now free of makeup, plain and real and hers. "I think I'm done hiding, done waiting for someone to notice me. If I want to matter, I need to matter to myself first." The compact's remains were sealed in Cole's evidence locker, each shard kept separate, contained. Because curses don't die easily. They wait. They adapt. They find new vessels, new victims, new ways to whisper their promises of beauty and power. And somewhere in the city, in another attic, another antique shop, another estate sale, Another young woman's fingers are probably reaching for something old, something beautiful, something that promises to make her special. The cycle never truly ends. It just waits for the next Halloween night. So next time you find something vintage, something beautiful, something that seems too perfect to be real, maybe think twice before you try it on. Because some things are locked away for a reason. Some beauty is meant to stay buried. What about you? Have you ever found something old that gave you strange vibes? Ever felt like an object was watching you? Drop your stories in the comments below. I love reading about your experiences, and who knows, maybe your story will be the next one I cover. And if you enjoyed this dark tale of vanity and possession, hit that subscribe button. We've got more mysteries, more horror, and more stories that will make you think twice about the things hiding in your grandmother's attic. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, not everything that makes you beautiful is worth the price.